don't know about you, but I'm a little bit tired of this little fuckery government and what they think they're doing. I want to be able to say this really clearly. These guys are not fit to govern. Those people, this is the only voice I want to hear. This is the only people that matter. And we have to be able to acknowledge what we've achieved. The unity we have in this coalition, the voices of those who are marginalized, the voices of those who know what oppression looks like, the voices of those who have stepped on this street, who have made their way down, who have taken up space. We're reclaiming our time. We're making sure we're getting back our time. When I say black life, you say matter. Black life, black life. When I say black life, you say matter. Black life, black life. For those throughout history, everything we wanted to get, we had to fight for. Everything we have today, we had to work for. Nothing was given, anything was never given to us for free. But one thing I have to say to you all, we need to stand united with our voices. Those of us on the left, they're trying to call us terrorists, and we're not having none of that. And if they're saying that we are aggregated terrorists, then I want to be the baddest one I can be. And I want to be able to fight for my Gypsy Roma and Traveller community and the new Traveller community. When I say drive, you say to survive. Drive! Drive! When I say drive, you say survive. Drive! The reason we have to do that is because the GRT community are going to be persecuted by this bill. That means that their voice and influence, they can't even have a stable space. They can get persecuted for just living. Most of us are fighting for basic human rights. This is not even like luxury things that we're asking for. These are the basic human rights. And I just want you to know, Black Lives Matter is working with EXA. It scares them, doesn't it? No. We're looking about climate justice. It scares them, doesn't it? No. So when I say extinction, you say rebellion, extinction. Rebellion! Extinction. Rebellion! When I say extinction, you say rebellion, extinction. Rebellion! Extinction. Rebellion! We've got some amazing speakers today. We've got speakers from all over today. Give some love to this beautiful, phenomenal BSL interpreter. Can you see this team? When any of you are organizing your protest, let's make sure we think about disabled rights. Let's think about the voice and influence and how they fought for their rights. So always make sure you create an intersectional protest. Make sure you think about how does the other get to access this information. And be inclusive. This is not a tick box activity, because if they come for one of us, they come for all of us. Yeah. So if you're sitting there saying that this is not your problem, I guarantee you it is. So do not keep silent. I'm seeing some familiar faces in the space. Big up, big up, big up. Loving you. I need all of us to become better allies to each other. I need all of us to find ways that we join our campaigns and build movements of movements. I need it when we talk about climate justice, we look at it from different point of views. I want it when we talk about LGBT rights, it's about all our LGBT plus community. I want you to take that opportunity to make sure you ask people their pronouns. I want you to take that opportunity to ensure that you keep safe. This protest is just what we want, our right to be able to protest. So that, without further ado, I'm going to try and introduce our next speakers. Where's Bavine? Can I get? So the next speaker I'm about to bring on is someone who has used their voice to really influence change. Whether it's through writing creatively, whether it's through acting. He was at COP26. When I say COP, you say COP out. You can do that really loud. When I say cop, you say cop out, cop,
Come on!
cop.
Come on!
When I say cop, you say cop out, cop,
Come on!
cop.
Come on!
Fenty is an amazing, inspirational, life-changing individual. He's the king in everything he does. When I want you to give him the biggest love you can give to Fenty Balogun.
Hi. How you doing? Is it not high enough? Oh, that's better, isn't it?
Hey!
Ooh. Yo, what's up?
Hey!
What's up? That's what's good. Listen, my freestyle clearly isn't as good, so I write it down. So if you see me looking down, allow me. Okay. My name is Priti Patel. I know you probably never heard of me. I act, I write, I do activism when I can. And listen, I'm scared. I'm scared because I've never in my lifetime known such a quiet violence. You Google this shit and it's like, how did I miss this? How does everyone not go in ballistic? Attended a noisy protest that's disruptive, 10 years. Defacing a statue, 10 years. Online posting, blacklisting. I'm scared and I don't know what to do. The right to protest is fundamental. It's a human right. It's how we hold governing parties accountable. In trials like the Mangrove 9, the first public admission of racism within the police, it was protesting that played a part in swaying public opinion and pushing that case. It is protesting that makes us feel solidarity. It is protesting that reminds us of our power as citizens. And it's exactly that power that they fear. They want to get rid of it. So for every person like me who has ever felt powerless or questioned the point of protesting, see this as evidence. See this as verification of your power and your right, because the willingness to oppress is not new. But this level of assault is unprecedented in recent history in this country. But every right that we have ever had, we have gotten not by asking for it. We have done more. In 1963, when it was still illegal, to discriminate against a person for the colour of their skin, we fought against that. Until 1967, homosexuality was a sexual offence. We fought to change that. We live in a time where governments make housing unaffordable, where oil companies are being subsidised whilst our planet is on the brink, where the NHS is being strict and our healthcare workers are on the edge. There is too much to be held accountable for. So now we do as we have done throughout history. We organise. We organise. We talk. We strike. We fight. We fight. That's all I've got written down, isn't it?
Say something from your heart. What are you experiencing?
What am I experiencing? It's the first time I've done this in a while. It's kind of mad. It's so nice. I think when I think about protests, I used to think, what's the point, as I said? And one of the things I never understood is that it recharges us. Literally, look around now. Look at the people next to you. Look at the people behind you. Every single person that's here, bar some people, feels exactly the same way you do. Is scared in the same way you are. Wants to fight in the same way you do. Every single person next to you, behind you, in front of you. Not just here, but online, watching from home, reposting, talking, tweeting. We are not alone. We have never been alone. We are on the shoulders of giants, fighting this fight for years. Let that never be erased. Let you never be erased. I wrote this poem and I feel like I'm just gonna do it. Alright, I'll go slowly. If you're feeling irrelevant, let me remind you your heaven sent. To bliss this world, feeling malevolent. To strive for the elegant. Come looking definite. Know that your place in this world is important and intelligent. Get your intelligence. Don't be tricked to believe you're irrelevant, boy. It's relevant. So be diligent. Show love to my immigrants. In crisis, you're killing it. Pandemics, they care when your value was limitless. Look, I'm not going to do it. Because I wouldn't be here if it weren't for them. The agile world is worse for them. Can I live? Can I live though? Can I live? Can I live though? I just want to live. Can I live though? Can I live? Can I live though? Working class revolution, yes, we can work for them. Hard working people need a future we can earn for them. It's so simple, our knowledge just needs some surfacing. Individual actions are terms that need to be purposing. I'm new to the game, but my presence is necessary. I can clean a couple of bars because it's all looking pretty crazy. I'm intolerant to the lies and I'm reducing all my dairy. No, I'm not a vegan, but the situation is scary. So I stopped eating meat and fish, and clearly I moved on to a different way of thinking, sincerely. Took on all the actions adhering to the theory to recycle, not buy, not fly, buy clothes, buy yearly, and clearly there's more of these politicians are gonna hear me. Can I live? Can I live though? Can I live? Can I live though?
I'm getting old, you know, I'm just climbing and coming down my ankle. But anyway, can we give some love to Fenton? We need to be able to use our art and creativity as a political tool. Art, music has always been a tool for us to protest. It's always a way for us to use our voice. For anyone in this space, that I want you to think about whatever little gift you have, little voice you think you have, you can use it to make a difference. You can do something. There's no option of saying, I don't know what to do. You can use your voice, your art. You can use anything you have. We all have little privileges. I'm a privileged black woman. I'm about to introduce a queen of Merseyside. One of those that you just need to know about. When I say Chantal, you just need to understand that a goddess is about to come on stage. In fact, when she speaks, you just get chills. All the way from Liverpool just for us. And you know what this bill is trying to do? Us traveling from wherever we're coming from. We get 54 weeks in prison, traveling to a protest. That's what this bill is telling us, Shabir. Does that even make sense? It doesn't make no sense. So I want you to give some love to Chantal Lund from Merseyside!
I'm a Tory. Right, let's go. When I say Tories, you say out. Tories out. Tories out. When I say Tories, you say out. Tories out. Tories out. Kill that bill. Kill the bill. 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 So why has this bill happened? Let's start there. So last year we've seen BLM, we've seen Extinction rebellion on the streets in our thousands, our tens of thousands, our hundreds of thousands saying we need to stop. We need to stop killing black people systemically, socially, despite the social murder, what a lot of these government policies do to black people. And we need to stop killing our planet. The message could not have been any louder. We were literally at the door of Parliament crying out. And what did they do? How did the government respond? They responded with legislation to keep us quiet and to infiltrate and disrupt our movement. First with the Chiz Act, which gave the police and MI5 and MI6 agents the power to infiltrate our movements and commit any crime against us, just stopping at murder and rape in order to disrupt working class unity. Then with the PCSC Bill, which as if it couldn't be worse, has now introduced about 1 million legislations which stop our freedom of movement, which stop our freedom to even touch a statue, which is currently getting more protection than most women right now. The current conviction rate for rape is 1.6%. And yet it was scared us all to flag a bus down, to cross, flag a bus down. They're watching the wrong people, and we need to ask who do the police serve and who do they protect. And I'll tell you, they serve the elite, they serve those in there, they serve the government, they serve policy, and there are two classes in this country. We've got the working class. I know a lot of people like to think the middle class, but if you work to put food on the table, if you work to make money, and if you stop working, you're not putting food on the table or keeping a roof over your head, then you are working class. Now, if you take that money, you don't need to work, you don't need to do all that, then you are ruling class. And the ruling class are shook because, like you can see right now, we outnumber them thousands and millions to one. And that makes them a little bit scared. So what they're trying to do is silence, disrupt, ruffle, infiltrate us, split us up and stop us from taking to the street. And this is the last form of resistance that we currently have. Look at the mainstream media. They don't even challenge what they're doing anymore. Look at the police. They're just tools of the oppressor. Look at what is happening right now. Back in the day, protest, let me tell you how powerful protest used to be. Back in the day, if 1,000, 1 million, 100 people took to the streets and stood outside Parliament and said things need to change, our elected leaders came down and they changed things because we elect them to listen to us. But how are they going to listen if the legislators to silence us? How does that work? It doesn't work. We don't want to listen to us. That's what this legislation is about. This legislation is about silencing us because they no longer think that they answer to us, the people. And we need to remind them that they do
coming through. I need you all but back out of it, please.
It's a genius move, really, though. It's a genius move. I've got to give it to Priti Patel. She has caused the most harm towards ethnic minority people. She has caused the most harm to ethnic minority people. Yet they've used someone who's not only a woman, but someone who looks like us to gaslight us on an institutional level. Shame on her! 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 Now, sorry, I'll just let them sort this wire out 1 second. 1 second. So basically, what they're trying to do is criminalise our activities. If you look at most of the laws, they're built to criminalise the activities of the working class, and this is all it's doing. Does anyone know that they built a super prison in the last couple of years? A privately run super prison? Who do you think they're planning to fill that up with? Do you think they're planning to fill it up with the ruling class, or are they planning to fill it up with us? We've got to get people in that prison. And there's built legislation. What we're doing is not illegal. But what they have to do is criminalise just working class activities. Using your voice, one of the most inconspicuous things you can do as a single person, can be locked up for 10 years. They're criminalising our actions, they're criminalising our voices, they're criminalising any time we want to speak up and challenge what they're doing, they're criminalising us. That's not right, that's not a democracy. That is literally a dictatorship. This is the 60s. And we need to wake up. When I saw the legislation, I wanted to scream. I wanted to come out on the streets, and that's what we need to do. Continue to scream, continue to come out on the streets and challenge them. Because in terms of what is legal and what is morally right, there is a bit of a difference, guys. Because one time, it was legal to own someone looking like me. One time, it was illegal for someone like me to wear trousers as a woman. It was illegal for me to go into a workplace. One time, those officers upheld laws that meant a man and another man couldn't be in love with each other. And one time, apartheid was not only illegal, but something that was actively encouraged by the Tory party. So what we need to say is the law has not always been on the side of what is morally right. And what is morally right is what we need to stand up for now. So right now, we need to ask ourselves, if this law does pass, are we going to carry on protesting? Yeah! Are we going to carry on protesting? Yeah! Is it going to stop us? No! I heard that people were the blacklist and I said, baby, I am the blacklist. But the main thing that we need to they're going to try to do is turn us against each other. And that's the biggest weapon is used against the working class. That's the most powerful weapon they use against us, is to turn us against each other. As a class, we have more in common with the migrants escaping the wars that we call for to come to this country than we do with those who occupy Parliament. We have more in common as a class, and don't let them turn us against each other, because when we all fight, things change. Voting gave us a weekend. Voting gave us a 5-day working week. Voting gave us women. I mean, protest gave us women's rights. Protest gave us the right to vote. It was only when we took to the streets and changed ourselves to things and said we are not moving, we are not going quietly into the night, that we won these rights. And we cannot let them slide. The issue is we don't get to keep them. They're not permanent. The things that we win are not permanent. The second we sit down, the second we stop fighting, they try and take it away from us. And that brings me to the pandemic, a legitimate pandemic, a legitimate crisis. While we were all sat at home like they told us to, they brought in all that legislation that they're after talking about. They abused an emergency to shave away at our rights. And that reminds me of fascism. Emergency powers should be challenged at every level. These powers that they have brought in, the power not to take to the street because of COVID, the power not to stand in groups of more than 2, we cannot let them use those powers. Because as we can see, while we weren't seeing our relatives in hospital, while we were told to sit down, while black and minority people were being fined at a disproportionate rate, they're breaking COVID legislation. They would have a bloody party in Parliament. Is that right? Is that right? At the same time, you can lose your passport for doing code on the weekends. Get nearly 8 out of 10 bloody toilets in Parliament are full of code. Every week I see one of them off the face, but they will never lose the passport. They will never feel the force of the law the way we feel the force of the law. It is literally one rule for them and another rule for us. Are we going to continue to put up with it? Now is the time to change, and we are not going to go quietly into the night. We are not going to accept it. And I don't care about coming out in January, February, March, April, May. I don't care if you make protest illegal. I will be here every single night. I hope that we can stand united. So before we go, should we do a little round? The people united will never be defeated.
Yeah.
Let's go. The people united
Will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
History!
Agree!
History!
Agree!
History!
Agree!
History!
Agree!
Tell me, this is what democracy looks like!
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what diplomacy sounds like!
This is what diplomacy sounds like.
This is what democracy looks like!
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what equality sounds like!
This is what equality sounds like.
United we stand, guys, divided we fall. Keep it up! Keep it up! What do we want? What do we want now? What do we want?
Freedom!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Freedom!
When do we want it?
Now!
So I'm just going to bring this really quickly to it. I'll call Marielle and who's going to speak. We want to be able to look at, celebrate Deepak in every way.
Yes,
We want to be able to talk about disabled rights. We want to be able to look at how this bill is going to affect them. There's an intersectional list of people that are speaking today. It's packed. We're going to make sure we go through all of them. But I have to just say thank you. Thank you for being in this space, Marielle. Thank you for using your voice and influence. Thank you for always trying to attend each and every of this process. Thank you for putting yourself in the firing line all the time. It's not easy to come to these spaces. It's not easy to use your voice and influence. But I just want us to give so much love to Marielle!
Thank you. Can you all hear me?
Yeah!
Brilliant. Okay. nurse, as a woman, as a person of colour, as a person with disabilities, as a person with a mixed race. On so many levels, I really feel it's so important that I'm here today and that I'm speaking today. I've been speaking to my fellow DPAC members, and there is an absolute terror. This bill has struck terror into us. I don't know if you've seen it, but there is a whole load of new super prisons being built, and those super prisons have disabled accessible spaces being made in them. They're gunning for us, they're coming for us. And already disabled people have had an enormous hurdle to climb over just to be able to come out and speak. The majority of disabled people are terrified of coming out and speaking because if we're seen outside, that is enough for the DWP to cut our benefits, to cut our lives. Silencing us with the terror of if you speak, then you must be well enough to be able to work. You must be well enough not to have disability benefits. This government came to power in 2010. In 2010, DPAC was formed in response to their cuts and their austerity. DPAC said, your cuts will kill. Your austerity will kill. And we were told, you're scaremongering. You're imagining it. So in 2011, just a year later, under a Freedom of Information request, they were asked, well, tell us then, how many people have died? You say no one's dying. We say people are dying. How many people have actually died? We'll give you a time frame of just 6 weeks. 6 weeks from the day. 6 weeks, is that better? Six weeks from the day that you 6 weeks from the day that you took away people's disability benefits and told them they were fit for work. How many of those people were dead within 6 weeks? Under a Freedom of Information request, they had to respond. They responded, and the figure is seared into my brain. I was horrified. I was horrified to see that this government admitted that 10,600 disabled people have died that year, in less than a year. 10,600. And when 10,600 disabled people are murdered and left without any food, without any medicine, without any hope, without any housing in their last 6 weeks of their life, and it's not even been mentioned in the mainstream media, I realize we have an enormous problem. We have genocide in plain sight. Murderers! And this government and its billionaire-controlled media were not telling the truth. They were not telling us that even one death had happened, let alone 10,600. I was already an activist. I was already a human rights campaigner. I was already a disability rights campaigner. This 10,600 was what really galvanized me, so I cannot stay silent anymore. I have to keep speaking the truth, telling the truth, sharing the truth, until everybody knows that this government is killing its own disabled people. By the time the coronavirus had arrived, there were 250,000 disabled people there. 250,000. That's the same number of disabled people who've been killed by the Nazis before they even came for the Jews.
Wow. Shame! Shame!
This is genocide in plain sight. This government did not need to build concentration camps. They could kill us in our own homes. They could starve us to death. And if you don't believe me, people did starve to death, look up DPAC. Find the people who have been starved to death. Call for justice for each of those people. 250,000. They're not a statistic. Each of them is a person, a human being, left to die by this government. But it's not just disabled people in this country. It's disabled people all over the world. And when they're taking away our right to protest, it's not just this government. It's governments all over the world that are attacking our democracy. Because governments all over the world are meeting at Davos every year and with the people, with the money, the fossil fuel trade, the arms trade, the bankers, the insurance industry, the people who are stealing our NHS from us. They meet every year and they discuss how are they going to keep making profit. They see every crisis and every calamity and every emergency as another avenue to make some more money, another way to take back power that we have fought for generations and hundreds of years. People have fought and died for the rights and the freedoms and liberties that we have. They see these crises as a way of taking back power and control that we have fought so hard to gain. But they are the few, we are the many. They forget that they work for us. They forget that our wages pay their taxes, that our taxes pay their wages. And they forget that they can do whatever they want, but we will continue to do whatever we need to be able to keep our freedom and liberty and lives, to protect our planet, to protect each other, to stand in solidarity. They believe in divide to conquer, divide to control, divide to enslave, divide to exploit, divide to kill. We have to believe in unity, in unite with the refugees, unite with the immigrants, unite with the disabled people, unite with the old people, with the young people, with the birds, the dolphins, the whales, the bees. We are part of nature. We are all connected. And when I say we're all connected to them too. They weren't born thinking they must amass wealth. They weren't born thinking that their color or their elitism or their land or their titles made them separate and different. They have been indoctrinated. They have been robbed. Their schooling system teaches them today you debate from this side of the debate, tomorrow you debate from that side of the debate. What you think and what you care about and what your heart tells you, you cut straight off from that because you can't have any of that. To be able to toe the party line, you must be able to debate from one side or the other. So today they can be for Brexit, tomorrow they can be completely the opposite. Today they can say, we love our NHS and clap for our NHS, and tomorrow they can leave our NHS people without enough funds to even eat. They and we have all been robbed by a system that is designed by the few, for the few, to keep amassing wealth from the many for the few. So, where does it leave us? It leaves us realizing that all the causes we care about are part and parcel of the one and same issue. All cause driven by the same greed for money. The greed for money that is indoctrinated into the few. They weren't born thinking that. So it's knowledge. We have to reach the knowledge of the heart, the knowledge of that we are all connected, and find ways to reach their hearts. Find ways to reach all our hearts too. Because the divide has told us that we can't keep letting immigrants in because there's not enough NHS beds, there's not enough schools, there's not enough food, there's not enough. That fear of not enough is what's driving them. But there is enough. There is enough for every single person on this planet, for every single need of this planet. There's just not enough for the globe. So thank you so much for listening to me. Equality is sensitive. Equality for everything that is right, for everything that is right. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Unity, 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 unity. This is what democracy looks like.
Tell me what democracy looks like.
This is what equality sounds like.
This is what equality sounds like.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what equality sounds like.
This is what equality sounds like.
Not gonna lie to you, I can't stop crying because I don't know whether these guys think that we actually like to come outside and be protesting just to live. I'm only doing this for my kids to be able to know that I went down in history, that I fought for their voice and influence. I'm only doing this because I have no option. I'm tired. I would like to be able to be spending this time with my children. But guess what? I do not want them to have a future when they don't know they can fight this corrupt government who only know how to kill, steal, and destroy. And we need to be able to call them on their lives on a regular basis. My children deserve to have the right to be able to live, to be able to fight, to be able to speak, to be able to breathe. And this is the time we have to do this. And if we don't stand united in this conversation, the left, I have to say a message to the left. While we fight with each other, they have a party on our body. While we say we don't like each other, they find ways to destroy all of us. They pit us against each other, spin lies about each other, tell us why we shouldn't work with each other. But guess what? The people united can never be defeated. You don't understand it. The people united will never be defeated.
The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
I'm about to introduce. I like calling her Auntie because of the culture. Auntie Sarah Calloway from the Women of Colour. I want you all to give some love to the one and only. History, I've always seen her do so much work. And be honest to you, I want you to show her this much love. Shout out to Auntie Sarah!
Thank you, Marvina. I'm very moved by your introduction. And I just wanted to say how fantastic we all look. I'm just blown away that people have turned out in this cold weather. And this gives us hope that we can defeat this hated and dreadful and cruel bill. I just wanted to start by saying two things. The brother Fahenti, who spoke at the very beginning, I wanted to big up his film. It's called I Can't Live. And he's made a film that included people of color's experience of the climate movement, the global south, the slave trade. And he gave a platform to grassroots organizations who often don't have a place. I'm just going to move this banner. He gave a space to grassroots organizations who often don't give a space, and it was shown in COP. If you haven't seen it, please try to see that film. The second thing I wanted to say is, on many of our hearts is the boy whose name is Arthur Labinho Hughes. He was murdered by a violent father. His mother was in prison because she had fought off a domestic violator. And her son was left in the hands of a violent man and tortured to death. The authorities knew, and the police knew, and the social workers knew. And the police threatened the family that if they went to the home to see about the boy, they would be arrested under COVID rules. And this is just one of the reasons why we don't believe the police need any more power. They need to use the powers they have to defend us and particularly women and children from violence, which is absolutely epidemic, as we know. Okay, our group, Women of Color, the Global Women's Strike. We're a network. We're in the South and North. We're from indigenous communities. We're from immigrant communities. We fight against racism, sexism, overwork, police violence, domestic violence. We fight against war, and also we fight against the women's unpaid work, unwaged work, which is massive. Our main demand is for a care income for people that look after other people and the planet. And we know that women do so much of that work, especially mothers. Mothers are absolutely at the forefront of every justice campaign and often invisible. And that includes police violence, as we know, which is rampant. Okay, we want an end to the widespread criminalization and imprisonment of people of color, of sex workers, of trans people, of young people, and more. Okay, we know that the bill targets women, and we put out a pamphlet together with Women in War, which highlights how much this bill is targeting women. We know at the forefront of struggles like the peaceful direct action of anti-rape protests, of the family courts, climate justice and the youth climate strikers, Black Lives Matter, Gypsy Roma and Traveller people, the Palestine and the boycott, divestment and sanctions movement, the campaign against the family courts which take away our children, against deaths in custody, racist murders, racist, sexist, and anti-working class policing as they faced at Hillsborough. All these struggles, women have been absolutely at the forefront. So we work with Women Against Rape, and I'm sorry they're not here tonight, but they've been absolutely central in opposing the bill, and we work on a joint statement which is available on our website. The way we work, we try to do collective self-help. That means the first thing you do, we have to be ready to start with ourselves. We support and work collectively with other people who are ready to fight and help themselves. None of us are charity cases. We start with ourselves, and that's the way to win. And then we care for others because we have to look out for those around us. Otherwise, we don't get the caring society that we want. And we try to hold on to those principles in everything we do. We don't want NGOs to take over our struggle. We don't want opportunists or politicians or political parties. It has to be a grassroots movement from the bottom up. So there is no bottom and there is no top. Okay, this bill, we know it won't help women's safety. We know that rape has been virtually decriminalized by the justice system. We need a complete clear out of sexist, racist, homophobic police. And we need to sack Priti Patel and President Gypsy. They not only need sacking, they need to be behind bars. They're criminals. This government is driving through laws that criminalize and imprison. Along with the police bill, they're bringing in, as we know, the Nationality and Borders Bill, which would give them unprecedented powers, including to strip people of citizenship. And we know, shame on them, exactly right. And we know, and we remember what happened to the Windrush victims and survivors who are still fighting for justice and compensation after all this time. How dare they?
Yes! Yes!
Okay, this bill is about social control. I wanted to just wind up by mentioning a few people that we must remember. There's Sayanda Gaza, who's in prison for defending herself from a racist attack. The police refuse to investigate. Please write to her. Don't forget our sisters and brothers inside prison who are also part of our movement. We remember Sarah Reed, who was abused by the police and then died in prison. We remember Kevin Thakkar, who's been in solitary for nearly 10 years, a man of color who's fighting against solidarity and against prison abuse. We remember Level Up that are running a campaign to stop them putting pregnant women in prison. That's another crime that they do against us. Please support that campaign. We salute the Palestine protesters who kept the spotlight. And they went to court and they won and they mobilized people against the Lioness Project, which is trying to hold us back. Okay, and we remember the protests in Nigeria, which was led by young women where they confronted the police. We hold on to all our grassroots movement, and I just wanted to particularly mention the Indian farmer strike. They just won. They got police let us go out. They kept out for a year. They went up against police cannons, water cannons, beatings, assaults, and 700 farmers lost their lives. But 2 weeks ago, Modi backed down and abolished the law, scrapped them in 4 minutes because he couldn't stand up to the farmers. So the farmers are giving us strength to win. Okay, we don't know what will happen with this bill, but we will keep resisting on every level. We can make this bill and these laws unworkable. We stand with those people who are crossing the channel. We're having a meeting next week, and you're going to get a leaflet. Please tune in. Be part of that movement as you fight the bill, fight for the rights of immigrants and asylum seekers and those in detention. Okay, we can't, as we know well, we can't rely on women in high places or people of color in high places because they're put there to keep us down. So we're having none of that. We know there's a new energy, the climate justice movement, Black Lives Matter, India farmer strike, Palestinian struggles, all our international people are giving us strength to fight. We say, let's take that energy, let's lift ourselves from the bottom up. Together, we can get all the boots off our necks. Let's do it, let's fight, let's win. Oh, sorry. Yeah, who streets?
Our streets!
Who streets?
Our streets!
Who streets?
Our streets!
It's our street, women. It's not that complicated. Even if they pass this bill, are we going to sit at home?
No!
Even if they threaten to arrest us, are we going to sit at home?
No!
In my head, do they even have space for all of us if we turn out in our numbers?
No!
Let's pick up all the children and young people out here today. I'm seeing this young boy. Everybody show some love to all the young people in the space. Pick up his side. I want you back. Come over here, babe. Come. I'm sorry I assumed your gender, so what's your pronoun? Him. You see, when you make a mistake, you just ask, well, actually, it's a him, so that was correct. So what's your name? Blake. Everybody, big up Blake! The reason you're protesting so he can protest.
Yeah!
But in fact, if they don't want us to protest, big up extra families, yeah? Big up to all those people who are working with families to encourage their voice. I want to say we do this for you. We do that because we see you. We want to make sure you have your rights to be able to protest. So thank you for coming into the space. Even after school today, you're smashing it. So, so I'm about to introduce a young individual. For me, they're from XR Youth, and XR Youths have been doing so much work XR Youth Solidarity, Global Majority, and all of that. But XR Youth has just changed my life in a lot of work they've been doing in spaces that they've not been allowed. Young people's voices are being muted on a daily basis. We need to make sure we find ways to encourage their voice. So when she comes, or when they come on stage, I need you to show some love to XR Youth.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anna, and I'm from Colombia. I'd like to start today by thanking every single one of you, every single one of the conditions of your life that have brought you to this moment and to join this today. Every single one of you. I also want to stand here and thank every single one of your ancestors for having fought for their rights.
Yes!
I want to stand here and thank the guardians of this land that have never stopped the destruction that has happened in England, in the White Islands, in Wales, in Scotland, in Ireland. I want to stand here today to thank the resistance that this country is built on. When you think about what the UK is, don't think about that, because it's not. It's this. It's you. It's us. And from that perspective, I'd like to speak to you today about the internationalist aspect of what we're here doing right now with the criminalization of protest means in other places of the world. I come from Colombia. Colombia is the most dangerous place in the world to be a campaigner, to be an organizer, to be a human rights activist, to be an indigenous person. I want to speak to you today because you cannot ignore that in your analysis of what is happening today. The repression of activists in Colombia is funded by the UK government, and that is for a reason. That is to guarantee that the extraction of resources from the global south reaches the hands of the elite that sit there and pretend that they represent you.
No!
The elite that pretend that they speak for you. The elite that pretend that the violence they perpetrate is for your benefit. I speak to you today from the perspective of what colonization means. I know there's a lot of people here that don't understand what that means and that think that's in the past. I speak to you today from the perspective that colonization is the destruction of choice. Colonization is the destruction of choice, of the choice that you have over your bodies, over your health. Colonization is the destruction of choice of what you put in your mouth when you eat. Colonization is the destruction of choice of how you choose to be human. If colonization is the destruction of choice, decolonization can only mean one thing, and it can only mean autonomy. That's why I ask you, don't stand here today begging for them to not pass this bill. Start organizing for your autonomy because they won't pass it. True. What happens inside there must be resisted, and that resistance will only come from organizing. All this talk about unity, that's difficult. That is difficult work that requires us to speak to each other, to listen to each other. No more pretending that you can stand in the middle of the room and think you are the only person that's right. That is colonization. We will not stand for the colonization of our minds. We will not stand for the colonization of our bodies. We will not stand for the colonization of our spirits. Because we, every single one of you, from whatever heritage you are, from whatever ethnicity you are, every single one of you comes from a history of resistance. All of you. And from that, I ask of you, I beg of you. Actually, no. Don't beg nobody. Let me know. I ask of you, I invite you to listen to the communities of resistance in the front line of the capitalist destruction. Tell them that are creating, not because they deserve it, but because they are creating what autonomy looks like every day. Autonomy looks like creating most violent trade. It is, cocaine is based on the destruction of my land, of my people, of my family members that I have lost in the drug war in Colombia. The UK is the biggest market of cocaine, and the people in there that are pretending to speak for you, they are the ones that are profiting from the destruction of my land and my family. And lastly, the last thing I want to ask of you is to please understand that autonomy takes work, and that this is about tearing down your ego long enough so that you're actually able to listen to someone and understand what's in someone else's heart. Importantly, understand what's in yours. I think all of you. Good night.
Decolonize!
Decolonize!
I know I've just got this young prince who's about to say something because it's about our children's rights. So whatever you can do, give some love. He's just doing this promptu, and we're gonna make space for children and young people. So big up to him. Show some love.
I just want to say that they don't know what they're talking about, and it's not just a bill, it's a law, and that affects all of us, and that they're not human, we are.
Out to the mountain pipes. You get me?
Give him some love.
They're not
So when I
human.
say they're not human, you say we are human. They're not human.
We are human.
They're not human.
We are human.
They're not human.
We are human.
They're not human.
We are human.
Big up to you. I'm about to introduce another phenomenal individual. Our schedule is so packed. I'm so proud that all our speakers turned up. In fact, they tried to shut this down, but we made sure it happened. They tried to scare us, but we all turned up. This is my sister. Like, I literally want to cry. This is my sister, Dr. Lena. And Dopa has done so much for the Amazon Rebellion, has done so much for the voices of the indigenous, has done so much to make sure that those that can't be seen are always seen, and brings so much creativity into the spaces. You see the flags with Bridget too from the Art Factory. We just love all of you. Can you show some love for Dr. Lena?
As we're standing here today, is with great sadness that I have to say that in Brazil, there is a draconian new bill that might be passed, and they are talking about it right now, from the ecocidal and genocidal regime of Bolsonaro. What they're trying to do by passing bills like PL 490, PL 5110, and the PL list goes on, is to open the heart of the Amazon rainforest for land grabbing, mining, agribusiness, and further destruction. We are talking about an emergency right now, and as we're here fighting for this draconian bill from Priti Patel, all over the world and in Brazil, we are all fighting for our basic human rights, whether it is to protest or for the rights of our lands. But I'm not here today to talk about another genocidal and ecocidal regime. I came here today to read you a poem, which was written 41 years ago by Cecil Rajendra from Malaysia. And strangely enough, it sounds so familiar right now. It's called the Animal and Insect Act. Finally, in order to ensure absolute national security, they passed the Animal and Insect Emergency Control and Discipline Act. Under this new act, buffaloes, cows, and goats were prohibited from grazing in herds of more than 3. Neither could birds flock nor bees swarm. This constituted unlawful assembly. As they had not obtained prior planning permission, mud wasps and swallows were issued with summary notices to quit. Their homes were declared subversive extensions to private property. Monkeys and minions were warned to stop relaying their noisy morning orisons until an official broadcasting license was issued by the appropriate ministry. Unmonitored publications and broadcasts pose the gravest threats in times of national emergency. Similarly, woodpeckers had to stop tapping their Morse code messages from coconut tree trunks to chipanga trees. All messages were subject to a thorough pre-scrutiny by the relevant authorities. Java sparrows were arrested in droves for rumor-mongering cats suspected of conspiracy. Had to be indoors by 9 o'clock. Cicadas and crickets received notifications to turn their amplifiers down. Ducks could not quack, nor turkeys bubble during restricted hours. Need I say, all dogs were muzzled. In the interest of security, penguins and zebras were ordered to discard their non-regulation uniforms. The deer had to surrender their dangerous antlers. Tigers and all carnivores with retracted claws were sent directly to prison for concealing their lethal weapons. And by virtue of Article 4, Paragraph 2b, Subsection 16, under no circumstances were elephants allowed to break wind between the hours of 6 and 6. Their farts could easily be interpreted as gunshots, might spark of a riot. A month after the act was properly gazetted, the birds and insects started migrating south. The animals went north, and an eerie silence handcuffed the forests. There was now total security. Total security. Total security. This is an emergency. This is a fucking emergency.
Oh. The things we do for protest, eh? Climbing up and down. I just like seeing you, so I'm happy to see you. Saying, are there any other young people in the space? Any other children and young people? Shout out! I'm young at heart. I'm really tearful today because I've seen the numbers, and thank you guys for coming down. So big up to all of you for being in this space. We love you all being in this space. We really appreciate that. I think we got Mila. Mila here? Mila. We've got some music to just give you some vibe. We've got different people from different networks, from different movements. And music has always been a political tool. And I can't wait for you to hear this spoken song created just for us in the space. Don't worry, I got your son. I'm going to make sure he's okay. We will make sure we protect all ourselves. Also, I want to ask everybody, can we protect each other? Can we look out for each other? Can we make sure nothing kicks off? I know come 7 o'clock, they're going to start trying to move mad. So can you be allies to the most vulnerable people in the space? While we're here, big up to all those people who constantly use their voices. I want to actually talk about the Caribbean really quickly before Mila comes. The sea levels are rising. The sea levels are rising. The tornado season in Jamaica is getting worse. Grenada is going under. We need to be able to talk about the fact that even the Windrush generation have been robbed. And when we talk about this, it's so important. As an African, I stand as an ally for my Caribbean brothers and sisters, because it's important for us to be able to see them in this struggle. Can you imagine coming to this country and giving your life to this country? You were told you were British. You were British enough to serve and take care of them and be a nurse. But when it came to it, they can tell you to pack your bags and tell you to fuck off. I'm going to say it's not okay. Let's fight for the Windrush generation. Let's fight for the Caribbean. Let's make sure what we do to ensure that the voices of those marginalized are definitely heard. We cannot separate our movements. We need to stand united in this conversation. But now show some love for Mina!
Excuse me. Keep the mic on the thing. Keep that mic to the thing. What are you doing? There's a few hundred people blocking the gates by the main gates of Parliament, just so people know you have the information. The main gates of Parliament, a few hundred people on the road blocking near the gate.
Please don't.
Yeah. Hi everyone.
Excuse please. Excuse.
I'm Mina Todd, and this song is called Oppressor. Yesterday I was silent and compliant, but today you push to find out I'm defiant. I'm heading out the door, gonna fight against what you stand for and change these metaphors. Oppressor, I've heard it all before. Can't tolerate your system no more. No, I'm standing with my people strong. Will not pander to your privilege and power. Will not sit here while my spirit's been devoured. Will not wait for you to quit being a coward. I'm out on the streets replacing stone with flowers. Now hear these words, oppressor, I've heard it all before. Can't tolerate your system no more. No, I'm standing with my people strong. Let this be a lesson in love, oppressor. You don't know me, I don't know you, but we're screaming loud until we heard. So we're here reclaiming history. Let this be a lesson in love. Let this be a lesson in love. Let this be a lesson in love. Oppressor, I've heard it all before. Can't tolerate your system no more. No, I'm standing with my people strong. Let this be a lesson in love. Oppressor, you don't know me, I don't know you. But we're screaming loud until we're heard. So we're here reclaiming history. Oppressor, I've heard it all before. Can't tolerate your system no more. No, I'm standing with my people strong.
big up, big up, big up, big up. Let's show some love for Milan! You know what, guys? Isn't it a good day to be alive, right? Isn't it a good day to be alive? We've got a privilege while we're alive, so let's make sure we use our voices. There are people that want to be here, but physically, mentally, emotionally, they're not able to be in this space. Bro. Okay. No, that's all right. So, you know what? Yeah, I need to do this one right, you know. Sorry, I'm gonna stand up. Okay, sorry. Oh, thank you. The next speaker that I'm about to introduce, if you don't know her, I need you to actually make sure you remember this name. This woman has been a bridge. She's constantly found ways to make us come together. She's my big sister. She's always on my case sometimes. She annoys me sometimes, but I would never trade it for anything in this world. The Vening from Extinction Rebellion. When I say extinction, you say rebellion. Extinction! Rebellion! Extinction! Rebellion! When I say extinction, you say rebellion. Extinction! Rebellion! This woman has done so much, and she goes sometimes without being appreciated. I want to give you your flowers while I'm alive and while you're alive. I want to celebrate you because you go. Women of color lead a lot of movements, but we're not just seen and we're not just heard. So I want you to please celebrate and welcome the Vening from Extinction Rebellion.
Extinction! Rebellion! Extinction! Rebellion! I can't hear you! Extinction! Rebellion! Whoa, that sounds music to my ears, and thank you so much all for being here. Give yourselves a big round of applause and make some noise! So, we find ourselves here again. And you know what? I think my Chantal from Merseyside BLM said it well. We have to be mobilizing all the time, otherwise they will erode any rights we've won. This generation was sleeping. The future generations demand and need us to stand loud and clear against this bill. It is their futures and our old age that we are fighting for here today. And make no mistake that what I need you to do here today is when you leave, is speak to everyone and tell them how important it is that they join you. Bring your mum, bring your auntie, bring your grandchildren, bring anyone and everyone. You are all welcome and needed. And it is, I hope, that we have some form of exchange of power, because there is few of them and many of us. And I can't really explain in what terror someone like me of color stands here today with you. It took great courage, and it will take great courage from all of you. We need to be matching it and be side by side, because this bill will be taking people like me first. I will be subjugated to this rule. Someone like me will not be able to exist amongst you very soon. So courage demands and calls courage. And that's what I'm here, producing some courage so that the future generations have something not just to enjoy, but to inspire. and to have such beautiful lives and beautiful times and beautiful moments, because we are the human race. And guess what? We know how to re-emerge. And the climate collapse is upon us. We will not be able to have a voice if we don't stand now while we can. Because when, and it's not if, it's when we encounter climate emergencies as individuals, we need to have a voice to be standing up for ourselves. And that voice is being challenged right now. And I want to bring you some inspiration as well. Because you will have seen here today, and it's not by accident, amazing women of color standing up here, showing you what resistance looks like. Our very existence for generations is resistance. And you know, my ancestors and my brothers and sisters in India are showing the way. The global south has been showing the way for centuries. We have been in resistance all our lives and all our ancestors. So please, educate yourself, because there is no time for separation. And from the love and heart, I call upon the ancestors, I call upon the future generations, and I call upon each and every one of you here, beautiful people, to make a stand and make some noise. Extinction! Extinction! Beautiful people, give yourself a big clap. And I'm now going to pass over. So thank you for being here. And I look forward to seeing you in your millions.
Extinction! Extinction! Can you imagine BLM shouting out Extinction Rebellion? Is that simple, man?
Yes.
Is that simple? Because we only have one earth, so we don't have any time to mess about, you know what I mean? So just respect on that one. And we stand united in everything we do. If anyone wants to say anything different, then they need to go sort themselves out. Big up to Deepak too. I don't know, I'll say Mariette, you need to see all the human rights, power, hold, power and accountability. All the amazing banners here. We are all terrorist banner there. I like it. It's great. Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here.
Refugees are welcome here.
Refugees are welcome here.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
And by the way, before I introduce the next speaker, sex work is work. So anyone that wants to say anything other than that, big up to all the sex workers that are doing, and this bill is also trying to criminalize them. Also, the biggest drug users are in there, so I think they need to first strip themselves of their passports before they start opening their mouth to say they want to strip any of us of our passports. I'm making this clear. It's simple. They're talking about crime, and Boris is out there going and walk. Did you see that muppet? That poor muppet, the freaking clown that's running this country right now. When people say they don't do politics, if you don't do politics, politics will do you. So I'm telling for those people sitting on the sidelines saying, you know what, I don't do politics, bruh, you cannot complain. You cannot complain. Because these people, I don't even know whether they're human, you know. I feel like they're demons, you know. And in this process, I feel like I want to prey on their souls, you know. All the evil eyes that are on them. They're the ones that should lose their passport first. The UK is not innocent in this conversation, and they are the ones that create the policies. Let me tell you, even the bans to the African, how come COVID only chooses to affect African countries, apparently. So Europe, the house, it's not okay. Nigeria is being banned. All the countries that have been listed, 9 of them that are on the red list, which is looking kind of blacklist, which is hella racist. And we just need to call it. So you can't be quiet about that. You cannot be quiet about that. Because let me tell you, Britain has been moving on mad, yeah, when it comes to this movement. They cannot be allowed to get away with this. Because they're racist little cunts. And I'll say, actually, I apologize for swearing. But I never gave anyone consent to rape me. I didn't give them. This government is raping us from our rights. It's a violent act, what they're doing. So this is not about us. Trigger warning. Because trigger warning is, this is our life right now. So with that being said, sorry, my rant is over. I'm going to introduce my beautiful brother from Jubilee for Climate, from African Rising. He is phenomenal. Give some love to Nick from Jubilee for Climate.
All right. Thank you. Power to the people. Before I start, I just want to hold this banner up to warn us what's happening.
Hello, fascism. Yes, that's right.
This is exactly what is happening right before our eyes.
Priti Patel.
Hello, fascism.
A melody should fall off her body.
I bring you greetings in the name of Africans Rising. I bring you greetings in the name of Jubilee for Climate. And I bring you greetings in the name of XR Lambeth. We're here today to protest against the bill that is going through the House of Lords at the moment. And to that, I want to just talk about 3 things very quickly. I want to talk about power, I want to talk about democracy, and I want to talk about change. When we go on protest, we often sing, power to the people.
Power to the people.
People got the power.
People got the power.
Tell me, can you hear it?
Tell me, can you hear it?
Getting stronger by the hour.
Stronger by the hour.
Power.
Power.
People.
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 Power.
Power.
Power to the people.
Power to the people.
But hold on a minute. What do we mean by power to the people? Exactly what do we mean by power to the people?
Citizens' assemblies.
Yes, absolutely, Brother Marcus, absolutely. Given the political and legal conditions under which we live, it is not our job to seize power, but it is our job to hold those with and in power to account. And that is exactly why we're here today. We're here to hold power to account. Because it is the power vested in them by us that allows them to operate through the social contract. Logically, all power comes from below. And yet we are often made to feel very powerless. But the power of the powerless is much more powerful than the powerless know. And they know that. And that is why they're trying to pass the PCSC Bill to try and curtail our powers. They also try to limit our power and any expression of our power to pacifying rituals like elections, writing to our MPs, marching calmly on the streets, and writing petitions. because that is exactly what they want us to do, because they know they can contain that.
Yes,
The PCSC bill proposes to give wide-ranging powers to Priti Patel, our Home Secretary.
Pretty fascist!
I think so too, pretty fascist, absolutely. There's fascism creep within this government. So the PCSC bill is proposing to give extra powers to Priti Patel, our Home Secretary, to further limit the qualified right to peaceful protest and peaceful assembly. The PCSC bill is supposed to put us back into the box of pacifying rituals of elections and writing to our MPs and signing petitions. We say no to that. Absolutely, too many petitions. And as Frederick Douglass so well said in 1857, power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. And so for as long as we can, for as long as necessary, we will be out on the streets, we will be blocking streets, we will be climbing buildings, we will be breaking windows. By any means, by any NVDA means necessary. So that brings me on to the second issue I want to talk about, which is democracy. Again, we are here today because the government is quite rattled, or was quite rattled by protests by XR and BLM in particular over the last couple of years. The bill has managed to pass through the Commons, and the government has managed to insert so many clandestine bits to it that it didn't go through scrutiny, the proper channels of scrutiny like it should. And now it's gone to the House of Lords, which is unelected, of course. It's exactly paid for, thank you. And so part of our demand as Extinction Rebellion, or as citizens who want greater democracy, is to call for the House of Lords to be abolished and replaced with a People's Assembly. Because what we have now is not a democracy. Really, what we have now is a sham democracy. In fact, in 1976, Lord Hailsham, in his Richard Dimbleby lectures for the BBC, said, if we don't take care, we're going to end up with an elective dictatorship. And that is exactly what we have now. An elective dictatorship means that the government of the day, which has majority rule through first past the post system that we have, will be able to pass through any laws and bills, any bills and laws that it wants. And that is exactly what is happening. And worse than an elective dictatorship, what we actually have is an inverted totalitarianism. Bear with me one moment. What I mean by that is that our government has been captured by corporations. Our government has been captured by the fossil fuel industry. Our government has been captured by the media, the four oligarchs that run our media services in this country. So we don't have a democracy. We don't have an elected dictatorship. We have an inverted totalitarianism. So very quickly, just going to finish now. As I said before, the government have been rattled by our demands. And the government, what they're trying to do now is to tell us there is no alternative. And basically what they're trying to do is, with this bill, is to make sure that we live in fear all the time. We live with a hostile environment amongst us all the time. If you thought the hostile environment was just for the Windrush generations, think again. Because the hostile environment is being pushed on all of us right now. And that is exactly what the government are trying to do. I will finish in the words of Malcolm X, who of course inspired my t-shirt here. We think we got democracy? No, we haven't. We've been had. We've been misled. We've been took. We have to stand together if we're going to get any of the changes that we wish to see. We have to block the roads. We have to stop people going about their daily business, fighting for business as usual, because business as usual is dead. Development in this country means misery for the rest in Africa and all across the world. So, finally, just say one thing with me. I want you to repeat this word. Pa-mo-ja. 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 Thank you. That is Kiswahili for together. We have to stand together. Thank you.
So, thank you so much, Nick. What wise words he shares with us today. I am here to be able to pronounce and announce some amazing news. James Brown, who is an Extinction Rebellion activist who was imprisoned for stopping a plane from taking off to raise the awareness of the climate collapse that we're in. He is about to leave Wandsworth prison! This is what courage is. James Brown, who's disabled and partially blind, took to taking himself and gluing himself on top of a plane. This is what courage looks like. And we don't know what type of courage we're going to be called upon, but we will need courage if we're going to face and fight this bill and put it to history. So one more big cheer and appreciation for James Brown. I have the pleasure now of introducing an amazing activist. He is demanding for a jubilee for climate. His name is Rob Challenger. We give him a big round of applause.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to talk today about solidarity. First, I want to say something, and I don't want you to be sad. I want you to be angry. We're quite a long way away from being there yet. As a country and as activists, we're still not there yet. And yes, being radical does mean gluing yourself to the top of a plane. Being radical means taking any action you can take, but it's also incredibly radical to open your hearts, especially to open your hearts to people who you may not immediately think you have much in common with. But to find that root, that radical, that's what radical means, the root. To find that root is to see that we are all fighting for justice, but we are not always able to see the injustices that other people carry, partly because we are obsessed with the own things that we carry, the things that we are obsessed with. So movements, this is to every single movement here, whether you're Extinction Rebellion, Black Lives Matter, you'll hear about vaccine mandates or anything. We need to put aside our obsessions. We need to come together. We need to get rid of our egos. We need to stand in solidarity. This bill divides us as individuals. It makes the barrier to entry really high. Now, some of the things I've done could mean that I would be in prison right now, 51 weeks in prison. As an individual, that's a hard thing to walk out onto the street or to walk onto Telegram and start talking about a march, because now talking about a march can get you in prison. It's a hard thing to do as an individual. And so we can let that divide us as individuals, or we can realize that actually what it needs to do is bring us together as movements. As movements, we need to come together more than ever before, because otherwise, as individuals in individual movements, we will be lost. We need to come together. We need to listen to each other. Solidarity is not a performance. It doesn't mean passing the mic and then going on your Twitter feed afterwards and sharing how wonderful it was that you passed the mic. It means going out and taking something deep, deep into your heart, learning something new, and daring to walk out the door for something that you've never walked out the door for before. Yeah. I also want to say to other people who sometimes, in our hurry, in this race, this horrible, intolerable race against fascism and against climate breakdown, these two things coming together, like spear points on both sides of us. Sometimes we go, oh, we need to do the thing that's fastest. And so instead of doing the thing that is right, we do the thing that's fastest. And because it's not right, we'll end up having to do it again and again and again and again. And if you do not do it slow and right, then the fastest thing will be wrong. We need to work slower. We need to work together. And that doesn't mean it is slow. It's as fast as it possibly can be. But first, we have to open our hearts to each other. I want to say another thing about strategy. So we can all go to prison for 51 weeks in our silos and nothing will change. If we do not make connections outside of our movements, nothing will change. A little note about people who were part of XR from the beginning who know about the theory of change, the idea that we will trigger cascades of solidarity. People will be out on the streets again and again. People will be going to prison again and again. It only works if you are connected to the people with whom you're hoping to trigger a cascade. If you have not made those connections, it will not happen. And if you only have demands about your own obsession, it will not happen. If you're not able to take on a demand that is bigger than you, that's bigger than your obsessions, that's big enough to encompass what other people care about, then it will not happen. We need to start caring about other people more. So a note to XR before they announce their next strategy. They need to start caring about other people more, or it will fail. And they will have a lot of blood on their hands, because while we as environmentalists are not getting to the root of what's causing the environmental crisis, we are only creating markets for these new green businessmen. Green hydrogen. Green hydrogen is now part of the EU's deal, the idea of getting to net zero. It's championed by a company called DII. The two major investors in DII are Shell and Total. That is green hydrogen. Sounds green. They're murderous. But we're getting behind it. We're getting behind it. And while we're obsessed with climate change, but we aren't getting to the root of it, then all that's going to happen is that we are making markets for these things. We need to come together. Solidarity is more important than it ever has been. So we need to get over the gaslighting of history. We need to get over the gaslighting of the present, which is this police bill, which legitimizes silence again and again. The gaslighting protects the powerful, the property, the profit over the people. The other view to take is the view of the vulnerable, from whose collective sovereignty the powerful steal their advantage. It is the vulnerable who are in debt. And the debt is their power. The power has been stolen. The only way to take that power back is to come together and to deny that power to the powerful. It is to repudiate that debt. It is to say we have the power, we do not recognize it. That is radical. But there are tactics here, there is strategy here. We must come together. So go and make friends. And stop thinking you're taking people's time away when you start talking about your obsessions and listening to them. Find out what they care about. Take them through the conversation. Have that slow conversation on your way here, on your way everywhere. That is the work. It isn't just showing up to where Facebook told you to show up at 5:30 p.m. It's having the conversations on the way. It's so much more than that. And listen, pull down your walls. It is a strong thing to share the burden of others. It is a weak thing to chase after your own greed, to build your own castle. That's what the enemy does. We cannot do that as movements. We have to take down our walls. I'm part of a group that's called Jubilee for Climate. We believe in the idea of a jubilee that transcends many, many things, but it's about debt, it's about equality, it's about getting right down to the deep roots of this crisis, which is high interest, it's massive credit. It's the fact that you need credit to go and get your oil pipeline. You need money to do these things, but the money is held unequally. During the first 3 months of COVID, $100 billion was stripped from Africa in just 3 months. That is the global financial system, and it happens here, in this building, right here, and in Wall Street. 2 places in the world that could really change the world. And what that means is that we, as citizens in the UK, have a disproportionate responsibility. And that's not about nationalism, that's not saying, aren't we great? That's saying, sadly, we have put ourselves in this place. Our ancestors have brought us here through inaction, through collective inaction, and through greed. And now we must pay that debt through action. We must give whatever we can to it, everything you are willing to risk. But first, Risk your ears, risk your hearts, listen to each other. I love you, good night.
Wow. What my brother didn't say was that he actually climbed up that building, Big Ben actually, and dropped a letter as an ally for Africa. And he's been to court and he's going through stuff right now. So he's not just speaking, he's acting as an ally. Being an ally is about acting, listening to the voice of those who are oppressed, learning and unlearning your unconscious bias, and yielding your privilege and turning it into power. And my brother did that for someone else.
Yes.
When you act and when you come on the streets, don't just think about yourself. Think about how you can use your body, your voice for someone else. So big up to my brother Rob for all the work he's done. So, trans lives matter. Trans lives matter!
Trans lives matter!
Trans lives matter!
Trans lives matter!
It just simply does. There's no conversation, there's no debates. It's just facts. So now, it gives me no greater joy to introduce Sarah Baker. Baker.
That's okay.
Don't worry, Nigerian accent, sorry. Sarah Baker from Trans Alliance. And I would love you to come together and celebrate because it's not easy to be and do this job. So trans lives matter!
Trans lives matter!
Hiya everybody out there, thanks for coming! I've got a confession to make. I'm a little bit frightened. Yeah, I'm a little bit scared. I know what prison is like. I was in there for 30 years. 4 years of that sentence, I never spoke to one human being. Not one person on the planet. What? Not one nurse. Not one governor. I had no allies. I had no friends. I had no one to go to bat for me. I had nobody to write to a member of parliament. When I wrote to a member of parliament and I said, I'm a transgender woman, and I sound a bit like my dad. I haven't done voice therapy yet, and I don't think I'm going to do it. But people keep spitting on me, and they keep trying to steal my dinner. And when I go back to my cell, I find poo in it, and people have put excrement on the photographs of my family members. Now, apparently, trans rights are human rights, and that's all I was asking for. I don't pose no threat to nobody unless I defeated your building. That's the worst I'm going to do. But you know, I was hearing all these messages outside. Transgender people were mobilizing. Transgender people were organizing. Thank God for that. But you know, 30 years in that prison cell, I learned about the value of freedom. And I don't think a lot of people understand what that actually means. Freedom is a word we toss around when we're upset because someone has taken our rights from us. But you know, freedom should be standing up and being in solidarity when rights are being denied to other groups. Not just our own individual self-interest. Refugees are welcome here. But let me tell you something, if you don't know this already, the government that we currently have is immoral. It is full of charlatans, criminals, liars, and people who should be behind bars instead of creating laws to put the opposition behind bars instead. The Ministry of Justice, the House of Commons and the House of Lords, you should be afraid of us. We pose a threat to your way of life. We are the people. We demand our rights, and we demand the right to protest. By any non-violent direct action means necessary. I have to go now, peoples. I just want a quick shout out to my friends, especially Kevin Thakra, who is being held in solitary confinement in his prison cell for over 10 years. Kevin Thakra, we hear you and we support you. Okay, off we go. Trans-Prison Alliance. Hey, listen, we love you all, we support you all. And you know what? Bring more refugees here. We love you. Take care, solidarity. Extinction, rebellion, and bye.
Can you not see the history of protest, of voice, and influence? Be honest to you, workers, unions, we only have the weekends because people protest. We only have the weekends. Let that sink in. You've got the weekend because people protest. And this is what the next speaker will come with RMT. I want you, when I say RMT, you say RMT. Are you alright? RMT!
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 Ebony from RMT has done so much work, but I'll let her tell you exactly what that's all about. Give it for Ebony!
Thank you very much. When I say Tories, you say scum. Tories!
Scum!
Tories!
Scum!
Tories!
Scum!
These people right here, they want to bring in this kill the bill. Just remember, this kill the bill will take away every single piece of your rights to protest. This will take away your democracy. This will take away our right for a voice, our right to speak against the ills of society. This racist, sexist, misogynistic, homophobic government want to stop you and me from walking the streets in protest. We cannot allow that to happen. We will not allow that to happen. We need to be united as a unit together. No fighting, no squabbling, no screaming. This isn't a time to hate each other. This is a time to come together and unite as a unit and stick together to fight this bill. This bill is an excuse to arrest more black people, particularly males. This is more of an excuse to keep on harassing minorities, whether you like it or not. So if you disagree with that, leave now, because you don't need to be here. If you do not agree with that, you do not need to be here. End of. Let's talk about the corruption that this government portrays. Last year, we were told explicitly that we cannot have Christmas parties. We were told last year we couldn't have more than 6 people in our homes. And what did these cunts do? They lied. They lied to you. They insisted that people like you and I couldn't go and visit our loved ones. People have lost family members and friends in this pandemic. In the meantime, they took it upon themselves to have a party, and they took it for a joke. They took you and I as mugs. Fuckers. This is why we need to come together as a unit to overturn this government. It's high time, ladies and gentlemen. We've had 10 years of austerity, 10 years of lies, 10 years of school closures, 10 years of short start closings. Name it all. You name it, this government has taken away from the working class. So all of you people in here, and I know there's a few people in here, so don't hide. You voted for this shit. And if you voted for this shit, you need to take a long, good, hard look at yourselves in the mirror. So when I say we need to topple this government, I'm not going to wait until 2024. I ain't got that time. Well, I do, but I ain't got that time. We need to come together now. No sitting at home in your seats in your comfortable sofas behind a screen. You need to get your backsides out here. Tell them. And we need to start to overturn this government. This government is responsible for killing people. This government is so corrupt. This government is so full of corruption. When we talk about corruption, just think about the pandemic. Just think about the PPE, the contracts that they gave to their friends and families. Just think about that. So when you go home tonight, just remember all of the corruption, every single piece of corruption that this government has infiltrated, the racism that this government has infiltrated, the fact that we have a democracy, no. We have a dictatorship like. That's what we have. Yeah. Because this government, the fact that this government want to bring in this kill the bill, it means that they want to be a dictatorship. I know we don't live in a dictatorship, and most of us have never lived under a dictatorship. But the fact of the matter is, the new world order is coming in, and that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. Some people may think it's a conspiracy theory, but it isn't. So please, ladies and gentlemen, when you go home tonight, think about what I have said, what everybody else has said. Because if you don't listen, you will feel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ebony. Look what powerful words. Unions, we need you on the streets now. No more waiting for collective decision making. The government has told you what that collective decision making is. It's called the streets. Join us, every one of you. I will have a great pleasure and honour to introduce Fran, who has also stood in the road and faced the police and this government. With great pleasure, I welcome Fran from Animal Rebellion. Big up!
And next on Unify, you're brilliant.
Hi everyone, my name's Fran, I'm from Animal Rebellion. We use non-violent civil disobedience to take action against our destructive government and the animal agriculture industry because they're complicit in climate breakdown. With our campaigns, we aim to apply pressure and demand system change. We cannot solve the climate emergency without addressing the animal emergency.
Yes,
As a direct action group, Animal Rebellion are really concerned about the PCSC Bill. Since Animal Rebellion started, we've noticed the police repression against the climate movement has been increasing. If police power increases, then so does the likelihood of protesters getting longer sentences. It will be harder for us to make meaningful change if we're in prison for long periods of time. We're no good if we're all locked up. I will not be silenced, and neither should you. Back in June, when I was staying at a protest camp during the G7 summit, I was wrongfully imprisoned and arrested. I had my phone confiscated. I've only just got it back now. And I was ordered to leave Cornwall immediately. I was categorised and deemed a threat and presumed guilty without any just cause. I was only on my way to the beach. I was absolutely terrified of those who held authority to detain me without a just cause. I cried all night in the cell and I felt really sick to my stomach. I went through a lot. A lot. I've never been arrested before, and I never thought I ever would be. I'm just an artist, and that's kind of, I stay behind the scenes, really. I just wanted to do community art projects and help on the camp. It made me think about who the police really were protecting during my time in Cornwall, because they certainly weren't there to protect me. Make no mistake, this was an abuse of power. Although this was a really, really traumatic experience for me, it made me realise that I actually wanted to do this more and I wanted to start stepping up. I always tell people, actually, that it was the police that radicalised me. I was just an arts and crafts teacher, and now I'm an activist. Just recently, I've seen so many people take and turn their fear and grief into action. Sometimes in our darkest moments is where we find courage and inspiration. I've watched my friends sit in roads, climb onto buildings, suspend themselves from beacons and lock onto concrete blocks. I even have friends who are willing to risk time in prison. We're thinking of you, the Highway 9. We thank you for your great sacrifices. Imagine what we could do with all of you. Whatever talents you have, we need you right now. Let's keep building new alliances and work together for justice. If there's one thing that I've really learned, it's that people power starts with you. Thank you.
The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. Power to the people. Power to the people. People got the power. People got the power. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you hear it? We're getting stronger by the hour. Stronger by the hour. Power. Power. People. People. Power. Power. People. People. Big up to all the activists who are just activating you. Big up to you being here. In store, the movements here today are just phenomenal. I can't tell you how many different movements have come together because this bill is affecting all of us. They didn't know that we were seeds and they tried to bury us. And then we just rise. Stay united in this conversation. I'm about to introduce a young person who has done so much in putting themselves and taking the UK government to court for the crimes against the majority. The global majority led by young people telling the system, we're not having this no more. So I want you to celebrate Ade from global majority versus the government. Show some love! Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, good. All right. Yeah, thank you, Marvina. Thank you so much for what you do as well. Please, can we just give a big round of applause for Kill the Bill and all of the work they've been doing? Okay, so I'm Adetola and I'm from Global Majority versus the UK Government campaign. And the first thing that I want to say is that I just want people to be under no illusion that once this bill gets pushed through, that we are going to be in the same position that the majority of the world has been in for decades. Now, our legal action is around human rights violations of the UK government, and they are trying to erode our human rights with this Police Crime Sentencing and Courts Bill. And I'm saying the full thing because the courts are important, because they are incredibly complicit in the criminalisation of people who are standing up for this planet, for the lands, and for its peoples. And on Thursday, the 25th of November, our campaign was in court, and we heard the defence from the government. Previously, it didn't get much media attention, but they said that what they're doing in line with climate is objectively and reasonably justified. It sounds awfully familiar to what's being pushed through with the Nations and Borders Bill, and saying that you can strip people of their rights as long as it's reasonable grounds. Pretty fascist, if you ask me. And we can't separate this bill from that bill because their plans are for global Britain. And we as young people of the global majority are saying that we do not want to be complicit in that in the way that you are making us complicit on a daily basis. Our families, our communities, those most oppressed and marginalized by society are the ones who are on the front lines, have been on the front lines, and are resisting, and their lives are being lost as we speak and as we stand here. And the only way that people have been sounding the alarm is through protest in this country. And they are afraid. That's the one thing I want you to take from this event, is that they are afraid because they know where the real power lies. And so when they sit in court and they say to us that no one's human rights, they say to young people from African heritage backgrounds who are deeply linked with our own communities in the majority world, that no one's rights are being violated in South London in 2021. You have to laugh. You really have to laugh because they think they can pull the wool over people's eyes. What about Ella Kisi Deborah? What about the countless other people's voices that we haven't heard from who have been affected by this and who lose their lives daily from, let's go to air pollution, we can jump around, but the way that they are financing 15% of global carbon emissions is criminal. It is genocide and ecocide, and we will not stand for it. So I just want to play a really quick recording from Pueblos Unidos, from Mexico. To big them up, we're going to play just 1 minute of their message that was to the UK government and to the UK courts, because they recognise those scenes that we're standing outside of Parliament, every single courtroom up and down this country as crime scenes. We're going to hear from them now.
Let's pick up the sound tech that has been able to support us. Let's show some love. The sound man, I'm literally not going to tell you things. Pick up the sound man. Is it playing now? Thank you.
I just want you to listen to the words. Even if you don't understand Spanish, listen to it.
Legal observer, just one.
So what we're witnessing.
Sorry, we can't do it because of tech.
Okay, that's fine. No worries. No worries. Okay, we can't hear from it, but if you want to check it, go and look on our Instagram at Global Majority Versus. Last thing I want to say is what the police are doing right now, they think we're not aware of. Every single person of colour in this space is clocked. They're trying to kettle us. And if you've been organising protests, you'll know the scenes that they've put us through this year. It is only going to get worse. The way they're pushing things through is the same way they try to cover up the disproportionate increase in stop and search use during this pandemic. It's going to get a lot worse, and it's incredibly fearful time at the moment. But now is when we need to take action. This is an incredibly crucial moment. People are rising up all over the world, so please get involved and connect with communities that are resisting, and connect with your own majority world communities first, please. Woo! Yeah!
So we've got so it's past 7, yeah. I'm just wanting to say this because I need you all to come. These guys are trying to move fast right now. I just want you to focus on the next speaker. I would want you to definitely just focus because we're not getting distracted by their tactics, okay? And that being said, we've got, let me get this speaker and then I will get,
Then we finish our speakers and do everything.
Yeah. So I am going to get Ina Maria, who I met actually in Scotland, and she was on stage and she blew me away. And I can't believe how honoured I get to introduce this queen from Africa. Give some love!
Then we've got Marcus.
Hi, London. Can you hear me, everyone? How are we doing? Your country is cold. So I don't even know why we have to come here as refugees. But the reason is because we all know what happened with our history. I'm from Namibia, and we just had our independence 30 years ago, thanks to apartheid, that your government was also involved with. So when we look at the history of colonialism, for example, let's just look at all of the countries that are speaking English today, that were uprooted from their cultures, from their traditions, so they can take on the English culture. But aside from looking from just the language and how we comport ourselves today, one of the reasons why colonialism was put into place is to enable the extraction of resources from our continent so we can keep on living this good life on this side. For me, what this means, this specific bill, especially coming from Namibia, a country that is rich in resources, that has been supplying this specific country, the UK, with several minerals. All I can say is that I think they are really getting afraid of you all. They are afraid of all of us because they can see that solidarity with the global north and the global south is growing. Everything is interconnected. Your government has been paying subsidies to the fossil fuels in billions instead of looking after their own people. When I look at the homelessness in London, it is shocking. When I compare the medical systems in different parts of Europe and I see what is happening in the UK, it is disgusting. Your money is being used to fund the destruction of our continent. Your money, your taxpayers' money is being used to fund companies like Shell that are busy destroying the Atlantic Ocean in South Africa right now. Just because they pulled out of Congo, it doesn't mean that they are not busy with other projects. They're busy moving the headquarters here. So what is the link to you not being able to protest? Is it because they want to protect the fossil fuels for as long as they can? They want to keep on sacrificing people in the global south and now even their own people within the UK so they can keep on protecting the rich and powerful who are actually the poor and the miserable because they don't have hearts. The selfishness and the greed will finish them up. What we can do as people is to continue to mobilizing each other from the global south all the way to the Arctic. There is no corner that is safe anymore. The global crisis is here. We can feel it. And the only way that we can overcome is by standing up together and by saying no. It doesn't matter where we are. We are here. I am here in support of all of you and to tell you that we are together. No government, no rulers will kill our voices. The more of us they take out, the bigger and the much more, how can I put this? We will rise in thousands, in millions, in billions. When they killed Kentaro, we were 24 years ago. They thought that that was the end of the rebellion in the Ogoni. Well, today we are here. Last year they killed Mafikile in South Africa. We are here today in thousands. And this solidarity will continue. So may the Lord rest in the beds full of filth. And may that consume them. May it consume them. We are people of love and compassion. And that shall be our motto. Love and compassion. May it overfill, may it overwhelm the heart until they see that we the people are the power. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. Thank you, everyone.
I just love this energy today. XR unified!
XR unified!
XR unified!
XR unified!
XR unified!
XR unified!
I get the pleasure to introduce Robin from XR Unified!
All right. Just want to say that damn bill they brought in, understand clearly they've taken a step too far. That's why we're here. That is why we're here. To outlaw protest because of, remember what they say, wokeism. Wokeism is about us taking our power back. Understand clearly. Remember, what they're trying to stop is progress. Whether that's women's rights, whether it's racial equality, whether it's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, I call them the alphabet mafia actually. They're trying to stop our rights. Some of these damn laws are saying, oh God, I can't do that. 51 months, 51 weeks in prison for sitting in the damn road. It's on, and can I just remind you, Priti Patel, all her melanin should fall off her damn body. For putting that law in where we can lose our citizenship purely because she thinks so. No right of address. You could go on holiday, lose your citizenship, and not be able to leave the country you've gone to. Hello, I don't know who you are, but I love you. That is correct. This is not a democracy. We have to come together like we've never done before. Regardless of the issue that you are fighting for, we can only win if we come together. Whether that's, and I'm going to be honest, bugger the petitions, bugger sending letters into your politicians. It's about non-violent, direct action. You must talk to your friends. You must talk to people you didn't think were your friends. You must tell them that we also have to secure our freedoms for us and the next generation. You cannot be a bystander, people. You cannot be a bystander right now. If you are a bystander, you are complicit. Do you understand? If you are a bystander, you're complicit. These laws that come in, I'm telling you now, all these stupid new drug laws, you watch my black brothers getting nicked over and over and over again. They're making a super prison right now. They're making these laws to be able to fill them up. I beg of you to remember your ancestors. Because even if you're white, you've got ancestors that did the right thing. Whether that's the Jarrow men, whether it's the Lancashire, I don't know how to say Lancashire people, who gave up their lives, many of them, by refusing to take cotton because they did not want to enable what happened to my ancestors in America. Many of them died because all their accommodation, their food was tied up with their work, and they still made the right decision to support my ancestors, right? And if you're a person of colour, you have ancestry that shows our resistance 100%. It is not a time to hide. It is not a time to do nothing. You must speak to your brothers and sisters, because this is going to kick off, people, and we can only do it with numbers. Bless you all.
Thank you to Robin, and those wise words, we really need to carry them with us. So the most bravest of MPs is Nadia Whittam.
Yes!
And this is a big shout out to her, because she sent us a statement of support because she sprained her ankle today and couldn't be with us. So Nadia Whittam shares these words with us. Since we last gathered outside Parliament, this authoritarian bill has shape-shifted into something even worse, stuffed with yet more powers to prevent protests. We are witnessing the criminalisation of democratic rights, the end of protest as we know it in this country. Anyone who attends any demonstrations will be at risk of arrest, persecution, or having their lives turned upside down for daring to oppose this government. There are laws of dictatorship, not democracy. These are laws of dictatorship, not of democracy. And we know that it will be marginalized communities that suffer disproportionately. Roma and Traveller communities will see their ways of lives criminalized. Apparently, wide stop and search powers will target black youths. Alarmingly, they will target black youths. Downing Street Party, this is the rocking parliament today, illustrates the same story. This government wants one rule for themselves and one rule for everyone else. They're not going to be affected by these laws, just as they saw themselves exempt from COVID regulations. We do not have time. We do not have the numbers to stop this bill in Parliament. We must defeat this attack on protest through protest itself. Through public pressure that forces this government to U-turn. It was through protest that people won up some of our most fundamental rights. The right to vote, the right to a weekend, LGBTQ+ rights. No wonder Priti Patel wants to criminalise it. Thank you for protesting today. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know. Now is not the time to. Now is the time to stand up. Write to your MP. Get out on the streets. Voice your opposition. We have to stop this bill, and we will. That is from Nadia Whittam, MP here in the Parliament of Houses, and we thank her with our gratitude and love for all that she does.
Do we finish or not?
So we've got some music for you now. One of the beautiful rebels that you will know that has taken to the streets to sing for us, Marcus. Bring it up for Marcus.
Kill the bill!
Kill the bill!
You look beautiful, people. What an amazing lot of speakers we've heard today. We stand here in solidarity with all the protests and all the movements across the world. So, how are you feeling? You gonna sing with me? Not enough. You gonna sing with me? And one more time. Are you gonna sing with me? I'm gonna keep on walking forward. Gonna keep on walking forward. Gonna keep on walking forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. We will not be silent. We will not be silent. We will not be silent. Never turning back. Never turning back. Admissions are still rising. Admissions are still rising. Admissions are still rising. Now is the time to act.
Fran, I think.
Now's the time to
it's a movement of movements. There's people know how to
stand for solidarity.
Oh my God.
We gotta stand for solidarity. We gotta stand for solidarity. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gotta fight for migrant justice.
Gotta fight for migrant justice.
We gotta fight for migrant justice. Gotta fight for migrant justice. Never turning back. Never turning back. Stop human rights abuses. Stop human rights abuses. Stop human rights abuses. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gotta hold on to democracy. Gotta hold on to democracy.
Okay.
And then everybody up there will get you there.
There we go. Jumping in here. Watch yourself off the road.
Yes, off the road. Hold yourselves.
There you go.
Cars.
Yeah. There you go. Motorbikes, cars.
Yeah, they were. They were the nicest people I met in my personal experience.
Okay, good.
And then.
Yeah,
go on.
there we go.
The woman who was kind of doing the paperwork, who was her first night on the job, and she was really chuffed that it was me that she got to sign out. Because she's got, are you famous? Are you famous? And she was talking to a colleague and he goes, yeah, he climbed on top of the plane. Did you really? Oh, I'm going to come and tell all my family and friends. She was such a sweetie.
Well, one guy that came out said that he was really sad that it was you that was getting out today. One of the members of staff.
Oh, really?
They didn't want you to go,
oh.
yeah.
Oh, what a mix, because some of them were absolute cunts. But, yeah.
We'll edit that out later. Great. Shall we go?
Come on, let's do it.
Here. Shall I just grab some of these bags?
Can I take something?
No. There we go.
Oh yeah, you can take your crisps that I got you.
Oh,
yes.
So. I don't know how much you've been enjoying them. I made water and crisps. Another tinny.
So,
come on, let's do it, guys.
What are we going to do with all these banners now?
No.
Yeah.
Off to the VNA with those.
Yeah. Across the name now. There we go. So, in case you're just tuning in, James has just been released from Wandsworth prison, meeting up with his daughter and supporters, also Hannah Bana, and also Bernard, who's been organising vigil every night. Also John, how do you feel?
Hey, this is brilliant. I'm so happy. We've got him.
Yeah.
We've got our James back.
Yeah. And what does this mean to you?
Very emotional.
Yeah.
I never cry.
Yeah.
I'm as tough as old boots. But yeah, really emotional because you know, he's a really good guy. He's a bloody national hero. I'm so proud of him, and he's really suffered for the good of everybody on this planet.
Yeah, amazing.
Terrific man.
That's good. It's going to be enjoyable having a
beer.
Celebratory beer.
I didn't realise you were live streaming,
What else do you think I do?
Oh, you could have told me.
I'm good, yeah.
That's where you can't see though, Dad, because I didn't realise Virgil was streaming.
There you go.
Half of the day.
I have to say that the funniest thing, James, was you and after the announcement, we could still hear you. We could still hear you inside the court. So
like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Oh really? Did I say that?
Yeah. That's their fault. The court here.
Yes, the whole court.
But as soon as the judgment was made, it all turned completely casual. Like we were all just walking through the middle of the court, and you were swearing, and everyone was cheering, and no one cared about it at all. And they didn't tell you that you weren't on mute at the beginning. And they left it a good 5 minutes, and I was just sat there with my eyes closed, like, please don't let them say something. Like, it took ages to move you at the start. I have no idea how rude you were going.
I was serious and concentrated and professional up until then.
Oh yeah, totally you were.
It was so intense.
It was really good though. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
QC, he had empathy. Finally, we found something. He seemed to be, I don't know what his final verdict will be when he goes with the main judge. Yeah, the main judge. I thought he was kind and he seemed really like a good person. What a shock. I got used to that. Yeah, he did actually.
And I know we shouldn't laugh at other people, but I don't know if I get this right. The other QC,
for the prosecution.
For the prosecution. Tripped over afterwards.
Did he?
His bag fell over. So.
Hey, do you know who's?
So we shouldn't laugh at those kind of things.
Making a move?
Yeah.
So
okay. Can somebody grab those? No. Yeah, go this way. Go this way. Okay.
I think we should take this to the pub with us.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
A nice duvet cover for him.
I think we should.
There we go.
That's a really good idea. I'm going to make those damn people.
This is the Hannah Bana car. This is where all the There you go. Are we putting James's stuff coming in here?
Yeah, Bernard's tiles. But do you want these tiles, Bernard? Not really.
Shall I put?
We need them for Tim.
Yeah, I don't want them. I don't want them.
Am I putting all the files in here?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. James's stuff.
Yeah, James's stuff. Yeah.
I'll put those in the bag.
He's got one beer in there as well.
So cold I can barely
Big
move.
shout out to Hannah Banner.
We are here at Mobilizing and other protests. So yeah, please give up this mini version of our band today. We're going to do one that hopefully again you recognise the tune of. Wait. Demand the impossible, 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 demand the
We have a government long on rhetoric and noise and words and targets, short on action. A government talks about the green revolution on the one hand and says it's leading the world into that top conference, but on the other hand, still hasn't put a stop to a deep coal mine potentially being sunk in the west of Cumbria, still talks about a £27 billion road investment programme, and still has done nothing to stop potentially a large new oil and gas field opening up a Canberra field just to the west of Devon.
The moral distrust as how we have come to this situation and the deep, deep grief of the catastrophe that we've already committed to, the words irreversible, the words inevitable, things like this that are coming through from the UN. We can't have these kinds of